I'm Libertie Bligh, Chief Executive of the Libertie Project Limited, a social enterprise based in the Highlands of Scotland. I suppose, what do we do? It's difficult to put it into a nutshell because we actually do quite a lot. I suppose we have three main social aims. They are to improve people's life chances, to journey towards employment, and to reduce offending and reoffending. And we do that by using a couple of approaches, the first being creative and the other being digital. And in terms of the enterprise that we do, we run a prison-based printing enterprise. We have a community creative studio, and we offer digital outreach support in the communities and libraries and to other organisations. I could go on, but that's the three main things. One of the major ways that COVID-19 has affected us is, well, for a start, we are a registered social firm, which means that about 35% or more of our workforce are disabled or disadvantaged, which includes me. So that means that I've got at least 2 members of staff, including me, who are being shielded. So from the very beginning, we had quite a unique situation that on top of lockdown, myself and another 2 members of staff are completely unable to leave their houses. So from a logistics point of view, that was like an additional challenge that we had to overcome. With us, when we went into lockdown, it meant that a lot of the support that we provided was face-to-face. So, for example, we weren't able to go into the prison anymore because there was no access for external visitors. So we couldn't run our prison printing enterprise and we couldn't do our vocational training. The digital support that we offer was being offered in libraries and community centres. With the lockdown, we couldn't access any of those areas, and so we really had to take stock of what do we do, what have we got, and how can we, with the resources we've got, meet the community's needs. It was really essential for us at the beginning to work out what support we wanted to offer and what we could do well. And we really divided that into 2 avenues. We wanted to look at digital support and we wanted to look at creative support. And so we came up with 2 ideas. The first being people who are digitally excluded are probably even more disadvantaged than the most of us in lockdown. And so we came up with an idea that subsequently other organisations have come up with the same idea, is to make digital contact boxes. And in those boxes, there were either devices, they could be tablets, could be 4G tablets, Wi-Fi tablets, smartphones, maybe just data. And the aim of those boxes was to enable individuals who were digitally excluded to be able to connect with others, access advice, information, and essential services. And because we did that piece of work beforehand, really working out what it is that we could do if we had the resources, when we put that idea towards funding, it was received very well. The other form of support we looked at was in terms of the social isolation and loneliness of people being shielded or in lockdown self-isolation. And we looked at creative activity boxes, that being a way to help that. So we know that there's a link between creativity and well-being. We're aware of that, we use that a lot. So we thought, well, why don't we get what we can in a box and give those to individuals or families in lockdown? And so we divided that quite quickly into 3 groups, being one as a household box that would be for families that had children, one as a creative well-being box aimed at adults, and they would be for adults that were socially isolated, maybe some mental health issues. And the other idea was prison-based creative boxes, because the prisoners that we would usually be supporting were really in lockdown within prisons. And so because we identified those packs of work, of what we wanted to do, and we had a clear idea of what it was, we were able to put that in the funding applications. And I think because we were quite clear and concise, it made it easier for the funders to see what was needed. So in terms of how the COVID is going to impact us, I suppose not just in the short term, but the medium to long term, is that this remote way of working for some of us is going to have to continue for quite a significant length of time for us that are being shielded. So really, we had to look at this as a medium to long-term solution rather than a short-term fix. So digitally, we've become much more connected as a team. We've tried different platforms. We've had the ups and the downs with that. We've had our success stories and our challenges. But we've also realised that we can't do everything that we wanted to do. So we looked at other organisations that we could partner with. And an example of that being AbilityNet, who are a team of volunteers across Scotland, and they provide remote access digital support to people. So whilst we could provide the digital contact boxes, we didn't necessarily have the numbers of staff that were trained or available to give remote access digital support, but AbilityNet do. So that seemed a really good synergy that we could work together. Another example of how we sort of worked together was we worked with criminal justice, and we looked at them and said, can we help with the early release of prisoners scheme? Because there were prisoners that were due for release, but were maybe having a little bit held up because they didn't have a means of communication with others. So we've now sort of formed this more robust, not partnership, but relationship with criminal justice, that they can refer to us to provide a digital contact box for a prisoner that's coming out on release, but also for more vulnerable people that are on their books. And that might include women who are involved or in touch with the criminal justice system, but they may also be victims of domestic abuse. And so being able to give access to these vulnerable groups, that the fact that they can contact their key workers, they can contact essential services if they need to, was a whole other avenue of work that we hadn't considered before. And that it's really nice to see these new relationships happening. And we can see this sort of being of benefit later on. One of the things that we've had to do to support that is to develop our procurement and our supply chain. So again, that's been an uphill struggle, and we've gone backwards and forwards on it, but we're really settled now with a really good provider. And having done that work means we can get exactly what we need, when we need it, at a price that's right for us. That means that we can deliver a service, and potentially this opens up to us a service that we could deliver beyond the end of lockdown. It's very difficult when you are closed on the front. So as your actual public doors are closed, and you have a notice in your window saying the business is closed, but we're still available online. There somehow, I think, needs to be this sort of better synergy of what we're doing online. I really love at the moment SCVO have just launched a hashtag called now more than ever. I might have got that wrong, but it's a hashtag that actually all the third sector can use. And I think something like that actually would help to bring us all together. That simple hashtag might link all of us together with what we're doing, so it makes us more aware of different groups and what they're doing, and it's like a live feedback. But we call ourselves, we're creative and digital, but actually we need to improve on our own digital skills, and we need to improve on what we share with social media and how we use social media. And I suppose that's meant that we've had an upward learning curve, and it's taken us out of our comfort zone to do more digital than we thought we were already doing. But actually, if it wasn't for digital, then I don't think the majority of us would have survived the pandemic. If we think of how much we use digital in everyday life, I think the pandemic has shown us that it is an essential skill that we all need to have, whether we like it or not.